Close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on and on.
Hello and welcome. I'm Meghdut Roy Chaudhary, founder and chief curator of Offbeat CCU, an experiential center for interdisciplinary learning. And we're very happy to partner with Pickle Factory for the launch of the project because we share a common belief that key spaces are catalysts for community change. We are here to launch a Pickle Factory curated series called Contagion, performance space community, supported by Goethe Institute, Max Muller Bhavan. And I know what you're thinking. Why is it named Contagion? Well, here is one of the curators who named it. Please welcome Vikram Iyengar. He's the director of Pickle Factory Dance Foundation. Vikram, over to you.
Thanks very much for hosting this. And yes, it's a very good question. Why is it called Contagion Performance-Based Community? And we'll get to that. But just before that, I'd like to share a little bit about Pickle Factory Dance Foundation and how we gel with your beliefs about community spaces. Pickle Factory is a hub for dance and movement practice, discourse, and presentation. We're a place to think, meet, know, talk, imagine, dance. And our big dream is to set up a permanent venue where we can bring together artists, audiences, all kinds of communities who can really be involved and invested in this wonderful world of dance. And while we are working towards that permanent venue and that community, we're trying to build towards that online, of course. And as we've been working on this project, we've also set up this fantastic group on Facebook called the Pickle Factory Cafeteria, where we've started a lot of discussions, a lot of exchanges, a lot of stuff is happening there. So I really invite all of you to come and join it and really push the community forward and feed us with ideas and more inspiration.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your views, Vikram, and also about Pickle Factory Cafeteria. Thank you for letting the audience know. So Pickle Factory Dance Foundation asked you guys, ladies and gentlemen, what is it like to move in a constricted space? And well, here are some clips that the community sent in. Right, can we have the clips on the screen, please? So you have watched Dance in Constricted Spaces. Let's maybe talk a little bit about spaces right now. We have with us Frizo Mekker, the director, Goethe Institute, Max Muller Bhavan, Kolkata, who has supported the arts and helped transform many unorthodox spaces in the city. Welcome, Frizo. I hope you can hear us. Hope we can see you as well.
Yes.
Hi. Hi. We also have with us Sharvari Shastri, who is currently at the University of Chicago working on a PhD in theater and performance studies. She has been working as a theater administrator and researcher. Well, good morning to you, Sharvari. How's it going?
It's going well.
Great. Glad to have you with us. We also have with us Christoph Knock, who started Mica Mocha project in Berlin, which evolved to make a strong transdisciplinary impact on the Berlin venue scene. He currently drives the public discussion on how to repurpose public spaces in Berlin. Good afternoon, Christoph. How's it going?
Hi there. Hello from Berlin. Everything very fine. Happy to be there with you.
Great. Happy to have you. Glad that you could join. Sharvari and Christoph, ladies and gentlemen, are co-curators on this project. So let's begin this conversation. Frizo, I'm going to come to you first. What makes spaces such a passion for you? Would you like to talk a little bit about that, your relationship with spaces?
Sure. Well, for me, spaces are special because they always add a further layer to the arts event. And above all, I always feel that they root the event in the specific city or village or whichever place you're in. And Kolkata, at least till now, I personally feel has an abundance of beautiful spaces that can or maybe could be marvelous for cultural production. We've seen what can be achieved, for example, in Berlin after the German reunification, where it became a hub for alternative cultural spaces. And I'm absolutely convinced that Kolkata could become India's hub for alternative spaces. That's one of the reasons why we as Goethe Institute have tried to organize several events in alternative spaces. Some who are watching this now might remember when we rediscovered with our Border Movement Lounge the initially burned out Gem Cinema in 2014 with the help of Mrs. Lata Bajoria, or the Hooghly Jute Mill, or the then empty lying Belvedere House National Library for an exhibition. So yes, I'm convinced I find these alternative spaces for cultural production incredibly fascinating. And I hope that this series of events, Contagion, will encourage some owners of vacant spaces in Kolkata to come forward and let an artist community use their space for some time. And let's also not forget that this even and truly qualifies as corporate social responsibility. And then I'm convinced Kolkata could become India's hub for alternative cultural spaces where artists from all over the world would love to come to.
And it's fascinating to hear that. I think especially I relate to that, having created a space like Offbeat in the City of Joy. The beauty of a space like this, the beauty of the energy that a space like this brings for its youth. On that note, I'd love to hear maybe from Vikram what you wonder if you could give us a little bit of your insight on the necessity of spaces and how Pickle Factory has been working with them.
Yeah, so Pickle Factory over the last 2.5 years has really tried to find spaces to work in. We love to work in alternative spaces, the Gem Cinema that Frizo referred to, rooftop spaces, television studios. We really love to go into a space, imagine what it can be as a performance venue and repurpose it to surprise the owners of the space, the audience that's coming in, the artists that's coming, who are going to perform there. And there's really a great dialogue then that happens between the performance and where the performance is happening. And I'd actually like to throw this to Christoph, because Christoph was with us for a week last year in November when we had our festival, and that was his first visit to Calcutta and to India, in fact. So, you know, we brought him over to sort of start brainstorming about these ideas of repurposing spaces for performance. So it would be great to hear your perspective, Christoph, on how you found the city of Calcutta.
I was so overwhelmed that first I lost my voice. For 2 or 3 days, I couldn't speak anymore. It was really fascinating. I mean, this mixture of completely packed streets, of completely packed sidewalks where there is no space at all to use. The difference to Europe, where space is here in Berlin, if there's a shop, there's a big space. In Calcutta, the spaces are super small. So all the ideas that we gathered from Berlin, I thought, you could sort of apply them to Kolkata. Nothing worked first in my mind. But then we discovered all these things like the harbor, like so many empty houses that exist, so many beautiful houses that exist, and so many possibilities to sort of infect the city with a venue that could change something, that could create new ways to walk and paths to walk into a city and to experience a city through art. It's truly fascinating. And I can completely rely to what Friso Mecca said. This could become a very interesting hub. We are looking for the next Berlin, because Berlin seems to be over now. So maybe, who knows?
And it is happening, right? Like it is happening in various cities in India. There are spaces being repurposed for the arts in like super fascinating ways. There are factories being converted into black boxes. There are just little roofs that are being converted into beautiful performance spaces. So there is something that's been in the air for the last, I think, about 5 to 6 years. And we don't know what's going to happen at the end of these months of lockdown. So I feel like it's important to sit and reflect and think about what it means that we've had so many spaces coming up and that they've all been forced to be on pause, and where we can go from here, I think. But even in this sort of chat, we already have so many people, like so many spaces just here. We have Mika Mocha working on spaces. We have a Goethe Institute that works with spaces. We have Pickle Factory looking to set its own space. And of course, Offbeat, which is, I don't know if you've not gone there, it's spectacular. It's like a whole hotel converted to an arts venue. It's incredible. So it seems to be like already that there's a synergy and sort of incredible sharing of ideas that's already going on, which is great to be a part of.
Great. So from this community of spaces, why don't we take a trip to the community of individuals? And this section is about you, all our dear viewers, because at the end of the day, that's the community that really matters, the community that feeds the energy for the spaces to happen. So let's maybe, we've seen a live, we've seen a live dance party virtually, which I bet some of you would have loved to be part of. I don't know if we can call it a live experience, or would you consider it an online experience and not really that live in that sense? Why don't we hear from you guys right now? And maybe this is a way to participate in this launch all together with us. After all, it's about the community voices, and we would love to hear about this community. So here comes our big experiment, ladies and gentlemen. We want to hear from all of you in real time. And the way we're going to do that right now is going to be through sort of a game. So this is how it's going to work. As you can see on your chat, if you've joined us on Zoom, it's the AHA slides. I'm gonna change my screen as well and give you taste of it. If you're watching this live on Facebook, go to AHA Slides, AHA slides.com/ 7C3AE. I am also going to put it on my screen right now so you can quickly take a look at the link. If you look at the link right here, right here, ahaslides.com/ 7C3AE. If you can quickly go to that link on your browsers, I think you should be able to access the link. I don't know. Is the link visible on this page? Uh-oh. Quick little tech glitch. I don't know why the link is not visible on the screen. Maybe some of the picklers can put it on the Facebook live chat as well, so our viewers can look at it. I'm going to give a couple of, it'll be in the comments. Perfect. Let me try it once more to bring. I don't know why my screen wouldn't show on Zoom. Maybe one of the picklers can share the screen. That'd be great. If you're using a mobile device, ladies and gentlemen, you may be directed away from this live stream. Simply put your answers and remember to meet back here to check out your responses. And if you're more comfortable, typing your answers in the comments on Facebook or wherever you're watching this from, go ahead and type your answers in the comments. The picklers will try and send in as many of your answers as they can to us. I'd request one of the picklers to maybe share the screen AHA Slides, ahaslides.com/7C3AE. We already have a few of the answers coming in. You can just copy paste that link, ahaslides.com/7C3AE onto your chat box, onto your browser. Remember, if you log on to AHA Slides, we get your answers directly on Facebook comments. Some of your answers will be copy pasted for you into the AHA Slides link. I'm going to repeat the link once more. The number code is 7C3AE. What I'll quickly do is there are questions. I'll go through the questions once. The first question we have is, in 3 words, could you associate your relationship with dance? So type in 3 words you associate with dance. The next question we're going to talk about is, what kind of unusual spaces would you like to see a performance in, provided there was no pandemic? Some of the options that we have put on the screen are abandoned film hall, black box studio, heritage building, on the streets, all of the above and more, right? So we have 5 options: abandoned film hall, black box studio, heritage building, on the streets, all and more. And it's so beautiful right now to see all of the bars and graphs kind of going up and down. We were struggling a bit with the tech for the first couple of minutes, but I'm glad people are starting to figure out how to use the AHA Slides segment. It's fairly simple, just about clicking a few buttons. The next question is a subjective question, question number 3. What have you most missed during the lockdown? So you can keep your answers to a 250 character answer. Here I am sounding like I am an examiner for the class 12 board examinations. I am not. I'm just trying to help and be a moderator here, a good moderator. But if you can put in your experiences here, what have you most missed during lockdown? It can be a word, it can be a phrase, it can also be a little longish sentence. Feel free to express yourself, put in your thoughts in the answer as the answer in question number 3. And moving on to question number 4, what makes sharing an experience with other people special for you? So what makes sharing an experience with other people special for you? You can have 3 words in that particular segment. What makes sharing an experience with other people special for you? While you type in your answers, what I'm going to do is kind of look at what you guys have said. So if we can go back to the first answer, and in the meantime, let me go back to Vikram once and see his answers before the words start popping out. Vikram, in the meantime, what do you think as the answer for the first question? What strikes you the most? What are 3 words that you would associate with dance, and what do you think the community is thinking?
Well, actually, I was sort of so caught up with looking at these words popping up from I don't know who and where from, that I actually forgot to do the test myself. So apologies for that. But I think the words that are on the screen right now are just fantastic. There's energy, there's movement, there's emotion. There's so much dynamism just in the way the words have related to each other. And when you look at dance and space coming to, look what's happening on the screen right now. There's choreography happening. So, yeah. So it's really, really absolutely phenomenal, the kind of immediate responses that we're getting to that. Great.
Is Pickle Factory going to envision a choreography based on the pattern we see on the screen and the movement of the words?
Well, who knows? We'll have to wait and see
what might happen as a result of this. Thanks so much for weighing in on that, Vikram. I am going to go to Frizo. Frizo, if you can see the screen, I would also request one of the picklers to maybe move to the second question. That's right. Frizo, your thoughts and comments, your favorite place to see, unusual place to see a performance in, and what you can make off from the screen.
So yeah, ideally I would say all 4. I think we have definitely enough artists, more than enough brilliant artists in Kolkata to have events in all of these spaces. I think abandoned film hall and heritage building would still, I would still lean a little bit stronger towards those. abandoned film hall. A little anecdote: when we did, I think the second Border Movement Lounge or something in the Gem Cinema, we had two DJs from Berlin, and they told me they.
Right?
Sorry.
An Indian electronic act was also their Hybrid Protocol.
They were also there, indeed, yes. And these German DJs, they said that they were feeling totally jealous of Kolkata because spaces like that don't exist in Berlin anymore, which I think is kind of getting a knighthood if a hip Berlin-based DJ says something like that about Kolkata. And heritage buildings, I mean, yes, somebody else also mentioned it. Kolkata has so many of fantastic buildings that are lying empty. I think there is just, I mean, if one talks to artists in the city, one thing that nearly all of them say is that they are missing space, that they don't find spaces to perform. Any artist needs a space to perform, to be visible, to interact with an audience. So it's just not understandable that these spaces are not being used. They are there. They are incredibly beautiful. They should be used. So bottom line, all four of the categories, I would put a point if you would give me 4.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Piso. I couldn't, in fact, I mean, too many screens open at this point and I couldn't weigh in as well. I would have loved to answer, but even for me, I think heritage buildings probably are my favorite. And I remember in the Versailles Palace last year in summer, I saw this concert with like a massive electronic concert with about 20 acts that were playing, and they had managed to use the entire facade of the Palais de Versailles as a 4D mapped arena. And what was beautiful was nobody not in Versailles or from Paris, nobody had ever seen the venue look like that. And I think that's something that happens with heritage buildings as well. When you perform, when you perform and using that space, it also makes the space a lot more relatable for young people. And I think that's something that it adds a different kind of flavor to it. And I love seeing that. So I'm going to move on. Sorry, I have this habit of blabbering sometimes. I'm going to move on to the next question. So for the next question, I'd love to have Christoph weigh in if possible. Christoph, what have you missed most during lockdown? Let me ask you. And if you can, I can't really read from the little dots on the screen, but if you can read, if there's any of the points which kind of jump out to you, why don't you give us your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, there's so many. I mean, hugging people, seeing other people, the flow of life in the city. That's what I see, the vibration of life in the city, getting lost in a crowd and finding myself again. It was just this bizarre thing to be connected to people. And I mean, the preparation for this series here was a wonderful experience. I think without the lockdown, we wouldn't have worked so much online between Chicago and Calcutta and Berlin. But on the other hand, of course, the personal meeting was missing. And it's like we know if an artist runs for Olympia or something like that, he has to train or she has to train every day. And that is the same for artists. It's the same for people, for meeting, for encounters and things like that. And I'm still a little bit afraid of what we have lost because of that. On the other hand, and I think this is a really interesting thing, this coronavirus, this lockdown is maybe the first, or at least it's maybe the only unique global experience of all people on Earth at the moment. We all have that. We have a different perspective on money. We have a different perspective on food, on housing, and on family, on tradition, and religion, and all of these things. But lockdown and all the consequences of the lockdown are pretty much, of course, it's different if you're rich or not rich and all these things. Yes, I know. But the experience of the lockdown is now a unique experience. And maybe we can, instead of being afraid of it, build on it. And we have to see. I think the series should help us with that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Christoph. And now we're going to take the fastest mode of transport from Berlin to Chicago, straight up coming to Sharvari. What makes sharing an experience with other people special to you? Let's hear from you. I don't see the screen anymore. Could we have the screen again so we can quickly refer to the answers as well. And Shabri, I'd love to see you pick out your favorite picks from this little word cloud.
Yeah, I mean, I think this just, I am feeling so sad about all the times that, I said, no, I'm not going to come out because I go to bed at 10 p.m. Now I'm just kicking myself thinking of why didn't I actually go and meet human beings when I had the chance. So just this sense of, going and absolutely not planning, not worrying about every time you step out of the house to have 18 thoughts about it, but just being able to go and interact with people and I think much more interact with strangers. This is something that I'm really missing, about being able to, like, spy on people and eating at a restaurant, or look at how someone else is watching a performance or something like that. And that's, I think, something that, what even these answers that, say shared energy, creating a community, belongingness, laughing together, I think all of these are sort of pointing to really missing that kind of infectiousness that happens when you find yourself in a space with different people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I think.
Somebody said creating common memory. I really like that. Making memories together. I think that's what makes the human experience itself so special. And there's another one that said that really stood out for me: the collective silence. It's a bit dark, but but it's true. When you're really comfortable with another person, then you're happy sharing collective silence. They say that the mark of a great performance is not when you have a standing ovation, but when you have like everyone spellbound and not able to talk. So I think that collective silence is also something that really stands out. Let me ask you actually, why? I mean, we've seen the answers. Thank you very much to the community for sharing your thoughts with us. Very glad we were able to do these word clouds and get a feeling and make you part of this performance, part of this particular program. But the question still remains. I have this thing on top of my head. I don't know if you can see my hand. It says Contagion. And we still don't know why this project is named Contagion, right? So if somebody could please weigh in on that and clear this air of mystery, I really love it. I'm going to excuse myself for a second here, and would love somebody from the call to talk about it. Maybe Vikram, Shabri, one of you.
Yeah, so why Contagion indeed, and why are we naming it Contagion, and how do we connect the words to performance and space and community? So at the moment, of course, as we all know, contagion is a word we're all very wary of, and rightfully so. We are isolating and we are not meeting people, not going to gatherings. As Christoph pointed out, it's a global experience. Of course, there's difference in that experience, but it's something that's affected everybody on the planet. But let's for a second look at, when people come together, what happens? Okay, whether you're going to watch sport or going to a rock concert or going to a performance or going to some sort of party or just going out to have dinner, whatever it is. When people come together, there's an exchange and sharing of energy, of adrenaline. And especially if you're in an arts experience, there's definitely an exchange of ideas, of perspectives, possibilities. We're sort of infecting each other's imaginations in that sense. And that's the kind of positive infection, perhaps, that the human race actually needs to go forward and keep itself alive and kicking and joyful. So it's a very enriching shared human experience that we're talking about, these arts experiences. So if we lose the ability to gather, if we lose the ability to come together and share through arts experiences and intense experiences and interactive spaces like that, then we actually lose a sense of being human, what makes us human. And really, the pandemic has hit the performing arts sector really badly, but also it's pushed us to interrogate what makes us unique and why we need performance and arts experiences, and where do we go from here. So this is where Contagion steps in, and that's why we've called it Contagion, in the sense, how do we sort of switch the fear of the word to something that's positive in terms of how art and ideas cross-pollinate each other. Now, we are talking about illness, right? But we believe that, the arts experience, the live arts experience, is essential for the health of a society, and we need to celebrate that. So the project Contagion Performance-Based Community is a series of 8 curated conversations and exchanges where we invite everyone, all the speakers and the attendees, to really address what it is about human gathering that is so special. And we have presenters from across the globe, spanning very different backgrounds: dance, theater, anthropology, academia, sport, management, psychology, literature, really across the board. And we're coming together to investigate gathering spaces as something that we need, the uniqueness of the live performance experience, and what are the possible ways forward now for artists, audiences, and venues towards tomorrow. I'll ask Sharvari to maybe take us through how we structured it. Sharvari.
Yes, awesome. Thanks, Vikram. So we are kicking it off in our first session, which is called Come Together Right Now, which is where we are trying to ask, what we've been discussing with these sort of the interactive slides and all of that about what does it really mean to be part of a larger collective? What is so special about that ephemeral experience when you find yourself in a crowd? And so to talk about this a little bit, we've got 4 people coming from quite different perspectives to this idea. One is Nusrat Chaudhary, who is an anthropologist who works on crowds and political assembly in Bangladesh. Then we have Shauna McCarthy, who has been overseeing the massive Edinburgh Fringe Festival every year. Then we have Ratna Pathak Shah, who is a fabulous long-time TV, film, and theatre actress. And we have finally Malvika Banerjee, who is from Game Plan, which is a company that oversees the management and branding for big sporting events like the India Premier League. And interestingly, she's also the director of the Kolkata Literary Fest. So, she's got all these different kinds of crowds going on. So having talked about a little bit about crowds and assembly in this general sense, in session 2, we move on to talking a little bit more specifically about performance. And we've all been, saying and thinking about, the live performance is so special, it's so special. But why exactly is it special? And maybe it's time to think about that, especially as we are all always digital now. Why do we actually need live performances, and what do we lose if we lose it? And to sort of make us experience this, we have sort of 3 people who are taking us through what it feels like to be in a performance. So one really important part of being in a performance is sort of the expectation that you have, right? You're sitting and then you're like, oh, what's going to happen? So to kind of set the context, we have Nina Tecklenburg, who's a dramaturg from Berlin. And then, of course, it's the performance itself. So to take us through that process, we have Ferinza Guidi, who is a performer and a director from Cardiff, Wales. And then, of course, an equally important part is where you sit back after the performance and you think, oh, what exactly happened? What did I go through? And to sort of take us through analysis and criticism, we have Shomik Bandyopadhyay, who is an eminent theatre critic from Calcutta. And I'm going to hand it back to you, Vikram, to tell us a little bit about the other sessions.
Yeah, so in the next 2 sessions, sessions 3 and 4, we zoom out a little bit to put things in a slightly more historical and cultural context. Session 3 is called Plagues, Pandemics, Performance, where we ask how has our collective experience over the years, over ages, been shaped by incidents like this in the past? And can engaging with that through art, through performance, actually reframe our relationship with it, reframe our understanding of it? And this session, we have Kolkata-based actress and performer Damini Basu, along with also Kolkata-based dancer, choreographer, and psychoanalyst Jhuma Boshak to propose various ways of looking at these questions. In session 4, it's called Custom Made. We take this line of thinking a little further, and we're looking at how arts practices have actually shaped, supported, or actually even subverted community consciousness and community structures. And we ask, what are the new customs in this point in time? What are the new customs we need to imagine to enable us to come together again? And here we are joined by Joshua Pether, who's an indigenous performance maker from Australia. We have Kapila Venu, who's a Kudiyattam performer from Kerala. And we have Sunil Shanbag, who is a contemporary theatre director from Bombay. And now I'm going to hand over to Christoph to talk about the next few sessions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Vikram. Yeah, we come to session number 5. And as you heard, it is every weekend. And the session number 5 is on Friday, 9th of October. It's called The Desire to be Infected. So it is this ambiguous thing that we go to an art performance because we want to experience something. It's not only entertainment, we want to have something that we maybe say, this changed our life. It's like an infection, but of course it's the desire to be infected. And we have 2 I think, extraordinary people to talk about that. One is a Polish dancer, and in my mind, one of the most brilliant intellectuals about dance, but also one of the best performers that I've ever seen as a dancer is Agata Siniarska. She's living in Berlin. And the other one is someone who really moved the daily scene of dance as with a venue, but also with all of his work and the international connections that he created, Mandeep Raiki. In the next session number 6 on Saturday, October the 10th, we call it Community Catalysts. It is about spaces, and essentially the whole thing is about spaces. The question is when will we be able to come together and to speak together and to meet together without being ashamed and without fear in the same time, being ashamed to infect other people, but also fearing to be infected. And there we have people from all over the world. Actually, it's on one hand, it's Ahmed Zoura from Burkina Faso. He's living in Berlin, but he's performing all over Europe. I met him when I was working with Christoph Schlingensief. We have Pamela Lopez. She runs a space in Chile. So she has all the South American experience that is, of course, different to the African, to the European, and to the Indian experience. And then we have Shilpika Bordoloi, who is a wonderful dancer, and Sudanva Deshpande, theater person. So all different kinds, dance, venue runners, and dancers, practitioners, people that know about management come together to speak about community catalysts. And now I'll give over to the next one speaking about the next sessions, please.
Finally, just to close it off, this blockbuster month of seminars, or whatever you want to call it. In the last 2 sessions, we are turning a little bit more to the future to try and think about now what do we do. So in session 7, which we are calling lockdown learnings, we are trying to start thinking about what should our venues be like? You know, now that we know we've had this experience that things cannot go on the way that they used to. What do we need to change in the way that we think about venues so that they keep serving the sort of audiences and artists and formats of tomorrow without forgetting or losing those of yesterday? And for this conversation, which is a little more local, Calcutta-based conversation, we have Offbeat, which Meghdut has just been telling us about. We have also Padatik, which has been like an institution in Calcutta for the last several years. And we of course have Pickle Factory, which is dreaming of creating a space of its own. And to make the dream a little bit of a reality, we have session 8, which is we are calling the Pickle Plan, where we've asked a lot of questions throughout this launch and throughout this bunch of sessions that we have, and now maybe it's time to start looking for some answers. So we are trying to get together sort of a collective of people from different spheres. We are getting people from the government, from education, from industry, and of course from the arts, to collectively brainstorm about the kind of space that we can build that is not only about artists and audiences, but it's also about serving the needs of local communities, and it's also about serving the needs of the city as a whole. And of course, to have this kind of sustainable space exist, you have to have inputs from everyone who is going to contribute to making that space a reality. And so that's about the sessions. But of course, like with any kind of performance, it doesn't work unless you have spectators and audiences. So we are really looking to you to make these sessions click. So please join in, get on that Zoom link and come in with your thoughts, ideas, comments, questions, all of that. And of course, we'll be giving you a little more information about how exactly to do that. But I hope that we'll see many of you in these, what are going to be, I think, really fantastic conversations. And now I think Vikram has some thanking to do.
Thanks, Sharbari. That's my first thank you. And really, to wind up, I have to mention all the people and all the organizations who really pitched in to make this happen. First and foremost, I think Goethe Institute, Maximum Bhavan, who've been with the Pickle Factory from day one for their support, partnership, and participation in imagining and producing this series, especially Frizo and Shormishtha, who's hiding in the back end somewhere, and Sharono, who's done all the wonderful designs. Also, our presentation partner of Offbeat CCU, Meghdut, who's been taking us through the launch, and Nishit, who's again hiding in the back end somewhere. And speaking of hiding in the back end, the entire Pickle Factory team, who've been absolutely brilliant, working overtime to actually put this launch together, and who continue to work overtime to make sure the series goes as fabulously as possible. And really, I really want to have give a special shout out to other members of the community. We've been talking about community, all the people who've come forward, organizations who've come forward to join us as outreach partners. Really, without your support and without you just coming on board and saying, yes, we should be doing this, it wouldn't happen. And so really, all the outreach partners that you can see on the screen now, thank you really, really very much for coming forward and saying, let's do this together. Over to you, Meghdut.
Thank you so much for the thanking, Vikram. That was great. So the Contagion series, ladies and gentlemen, all of these sessions will be taking place every Friday and Saturday for 4 weekends, starting the 25th of September and going up to the 17th of October 2020 at 7 p.m. every day. And this is just the start of the conversations. It's already looking like it's going to be a bunch of very interesting and very engaging conversations. And I had such a great time moderating today's session, even though I came in very rushed towards the end. I was stuck in a traffic jam. But to continue the conversation and to keep asking questions, which is, God forbid, if we ask more questions in India, I don't know where we would have been today. But keep sharing your views. Join us on the Pickle Factory Cafeteria group on Facebook. The link will be in the comments again. I would request somebody to, yes, as you can see on the screen, the Pickle Factory Cafeteria page, the group is very, very available on Facebook. Please go ahead and join the group and keep having these conversations on the group itself. For more in-depth participation, feel free to register for the sessions through the Pickle Factory website. You'll find all the details on that as well. I would request again one of the picklers to maybe put the Pickle Factory website on the screen. There you go, with the beautiful poster for Contagion as well. 25th September to 17th October 2020. Contagion is going to be running on your screens, locally in your drawing rooms, in your bedrooms, wherever you have screens. And as a registered, first of all, registrations will begin on the 2nd of September. And as a registered audience member, you will be adding your responses to the conversations with our speakers. And we would really look forward to that. So before we part ways for today, thank you very much again for being with us. Thank you very much for joining us. See you on the 25th of September for the very first session with Ratna Pathak Shah from India, Malavika Banerjee from India, Nusrat Chaudhary from Bangladesh, and Shona McCarthy from Scotland. Do click on the link and sign up. To finish off this session, we leave you with the Contagion short film. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a lovely evening. This is me, Meghdut Roy Chaudhary from Offbeat CCU, signing off.
We were having fun!